Every second, somewhere in the world, nearly 13 cans of Spam are being eaten. Just a small can of meat, square, quietly sitting on a supermarket shelf. And yet, since the day it was created, Spam has sold more than 9 billion cans worldwide. It has shown up in wartime rations, on family dinner tables, and in places like Hawaii, South Korea, and Guam, Spam has become more than just food. It has become part of the culture. But here is the strange part. Even after all that fame, Spam is still known by one very unusual nickname: mystery meat. So what is actually inside a can of Spam? How did this small block of canned pork survive for almost a century? Today we are opening the can to uncover the strange story behind one of the most famous canned meats in America. Now, let's rewind the story. It began in Austin, Minnesota, a small town in the American Midwest. In 1891, George A. Hormel founded Geo. A. Hormel and Company. At first, the company dealt mostly in meat, animal hides, and farm products. But the business started to change when his son, J. Hormel, stepped in. One day, Jay saw large square blocks of canned meat being sold at a deli, and it gave him an idea. What if that same kind of product could be made smaller, more convenient, easy to buy, easy to slice, easy for families to cook at home however they wanted? It sounded simple, but turning that idea into a stable, shelf-ready product took years of testing. Finally, in 1937, Spam officially arrived on the American market, but before it could land on store shelves, it needed a name. So Hormel held a small naming contest. The prize was just $100, and the winning name was Spam. To this day, the true meaning behind that name is still debated. Some say it stands for spiced ham. Others believe it came from shoulder of pork and ham, and some jokingly call it spare meat. But Hormel never confirmed one official answer, and that mystery only made the name more memorable. But the moment that truly launched Spam into history was World War II. The U.S. military needed protein that was cheap, compact, easy to ship, and built to last. It also had to survive without refrigeration. Spam checked almost every box. From 1940 to 1945, more than 100 million pounds of Spam were sent overseas. It fed soldiers. It fed civilians. And for many American troops, it seemed to show up everywhere. Some loved it. Others got tired of it fast. But whether they liked it or not, Spam was hard to avoid. And wherever the U.S. military went, Spam followed. From Europe to the Pacific, from Hawaii and Guam to Okinawa and later, South Korea. A small can of meat, first created to make family meals more convenient, ended up traveling with soldiers across the world. And in the process, it found its way into kitchens far beyond America. But here is the most surprising part. For something often called mystery meat, Spam is not nearly as mysterious as people think. A classic can of Spam comes down to just a few key ingredients: pork with ham, salt, water, potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrite. A lot simpler than most people expect. But sodium nitrite is the quiet workhorse in this story. It helps limit the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria behind botulism, one of the most dangerous forms of food poisoning. It also helps preserve Spam's signature pink color. That is why when you open a can, the meat inside is not pale gray like ordinary cooked pork. It has that familiar cured meat color, pink, firm, and instantly recognizable. So with just a handful of ingredients, how does the factory turn this mixture into millions of cans of Spam that look, taste, and feel exactly the same? It all begins with pork. The meat first enters the processing area. Bones are removed, excess fat is trimmed away, and what remains has to hit the right balance of lean meat and fat. That balance matters. Too lean and Spam can turn dry after cooking. Too much fat and it becomes heavy, greasy, and loses its firm texture. From there, the pork moves into powerful industrial grinders. Large pieces of meat are broken down. Then the mixture is divided into massive batches. Each batch can weigh up to 8,000 pounds, and this is where the Spam formula starts to come together. The ground meat is transferred into industrial mixers. Ice is added to bring the temperature close to freezing. That step is more important than it sounds. The heat from grinding can change the texture of the meat. It can make the mixture less smooth and harder to shape, so the plant keeps everything cold, stable, smooth, and ready to form into that familiar block. Next, the remaining ingredients are added. Salt brings flavor and helps with preservation. Water keeps the meat moist. A small amount of sugar balances the saltiness. Potato starch helps hold moisture inside the meat. And then, sodium nitrite is added. Inside the high-powered mixer, everything blends into one uniform mixture. Once the mixing is complete, the meat is portioned into cans. Each can is filled with exactly 340 grams. Any trapped air is removed. Then the lid is sealed tight, protecting the meat inside from the outside world. And now comes one of the most interesting parts. Spam is cooked inside its own can. After the lids are sealed, thousands of cans move into a massive industrial cooking system. Inside, temperature, pressure, and time are controlled with extreme precision. The goal is not just to cook the meat, it is to sterilize the entire can, to destroy harmful bacteria, and to make Spam shelf-stable without needing refrigeration. As the cans heat up, the proteins in the pork begin to set. The soft mixture slowly firms into one smooth, solid block. That is what gives Spam its familiar shape: clean, compact, and easy to slice. But this cooking step has to be exact. Undercook it, and it may not be safe. Push it too far, and the meat can dry out, or the can itself can deform. After the heat sterilization process is complete, the cans move into cooling. This brings the product down to a safe temperature for handling and inspection. Then comes quality control. Every can is checked for defects, dents, leaks, incorrect weight, weak seams, or anything unusual on the package. If a can does not meet the standard, it is removed from the line. Only the cans that pass inspection move forward. They are labeled, packed into cases, and prepared for shipment. When stored properly, a can of Spam can sit on a shelf for a very long time. Of course, not forever. Hormel recommends using it within 5 years for the best quality and flavor. So no, Spam is not immortal. But for a fully cooked meat product that can travel long distances, sit at room temperature, and be ready to eat almost any time. But if you think Spam is only famous in America, think again. After World War II, Spam began showing up anywhere the U.S. military had a presence, across the Pacific Islands, in Hawaii, and later in South Korea. This little can of meat slowly moved beyond its role as wartime food. It became part of local food culture. In Hawaii, the most famous example is probably Spam musubi. A slice of Spam is pan-fried, placed on a block of white rice, then wrapped with seaweed. Simple, portable, and incredibly popular. In South Korea, the story of Spam is even more layered. After the Korean War, food was scarce, and canned goods from U.S. military bases became an important source of protein. Out of that moment came budae jjigae, also known as army stew. It brings together Spam, sausage, instant noodles, kimchi, and other ingredients in one spicy, bubbling pot. At first, it sounds almost random, but it carries the memory of an entire period in history. Today, Spam in South Korea is so valued that it is even sold in premium gift sets for major holidays. A wartime canned meat became a gift, and a product with its own cultural meaning. But Spam did not stop in the kitchen. It eventually entered the world of the internet. In the 1970s, the British comedy group Monty Python performed a famous sketch. In it, the word Spam was repeated again and again, until it nearly drowned out everything else. Years later, people in tech borrowed that idea. They used Spam to describe unwanted messages and repeated emails. And that is why today, when many people hear the word Spam, they think of junk mail first, long before they think of the canned meat. Of course, Spam is not perfect. It is convenient, it is shelf-stable, and for many people it tastes surprisingly good. But at the end of the day, Spam is still processed meat. A single serving of Spam Classic is about 56 grams. That serving contains 180 calories, 16 grams of fat, and more than 790 milligrams of sodium. That sodium alone is roughly 1/3 of the recommended daily limit. And while ingredients like sodium nitrite are approved for use in controlled amounts, experts still recommend limiting processed meats in an everyday diet. In simple terms, eating Spam once in a while is not the problem, but it probably should not be your main protein every day, and it should not replace fresh foods, vegetables, or a balanced meal. Hormel also makes options like Spam Less Sodium and Spam Light for people who want something a little lighter. So after all of that, what is Spam? A convenient food, a wartime icon, a piece of pop culture, or just a salty, fatty little can of meat that is almost impossible to forget? Maybe Spam is all of those things at once. A very simple product, with a surprisingly complicated story. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories behind the foods we see every day. Thanks for watching until the end. I'll see you on the next journey.